Pampanga, Pia has a voting population of 1.2 million. Now, after here in Pampanga, Una will proceed tomorrow to Zambales and then to Bataan on a Friday to continue the Central Luzon leg of their campaign. Back to you, Pia.
Thank you, Joyce Ilas, reporting live from San Fernando, Pampanga. Senatorial candidate Jambi Madrigal denies prompting the iPad giveaway contest on her social media web pages. Patricia Ongshako tells us more.
Speaking on behalf of administration senatorial candidate Jambi Madrigal, attorney Ernesto Francisco denies Madrigal is behind a contest promoted through her social media accounts. In the contest, 450 of her followers were asked to speak their mind about corruption for a chance to win an iPad. Francisco says a group of youth volunteers are in charge of Madrigal's social media campaign. These youth volunteers, he says, initiated the contest. He adds national candidates such as Madrigal are usually not aware of what happens at the ground level of their campaign. But Francisco says Madrigal ordered a stop to the contest as soon as she learned about it.
Saan yung magiging source ng iPad? Saan manggagaling yun? At hindi niya alam. Siguro yung mga volunteers, alam naman nila yung platform ni Senator Madrigal. Yung command responsibility sa election law, medyo gray area yan, no?
Team Pinoy spokesman Miro Kimbo says it is still unclear whether Madrigal did indeed violate any election law. It is the first time social media is now considered a part of a candidate's campaign.
You know, as far as we're concerned, and it speaks volumes also of our candidates, is that it's still a gray area. There is no finding of illegality. In fact, there are a lot of lawyers who are discussing it with us that there is no illegality there.
For his part, Team Pinoy spokesman Erin Tanyada says social media is not covered by the Omnibus Election Code. Tanyada says it will all depend on whether there will be a complaint filed before COMELEC and how the complaint will be crafted. On Tuesday, COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillantes said the commission is closely monitoring a member of the administration's political party for possible social media campaign violations. If proven, Brillantes says the candidate could face a disqualification case. Patricia Ongshako, Solar News.
The Philippine Coast Guard is confident that the extraction of the USS Guardian from the Tubataha Reef will meet its March 23 deadline despite current unfavorable weather conditions in the area. PCG Palawan District Commander Commodore Enrico Efren Evangelista says the crane ship, the MT Jaspon 25, is now sailing into position near the grounded minesweeper. However, Evangelista says salvage operations are still on hold as Tropical Depression Crising is headed for the province, although it is expected to exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Thursday. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority introduces a contraption that can help the public prepare for major earthquakes. George Cahilas is back with this report.
The magnitude 7.7 earthquake that hit North Luzon in July 1990 left more than 1,600 people dead and an unforgettable trail of destruction. Experts say such a scenario can also happen in Metro Manila should the National Capital Region be hit by a temblor of similar magnitude. The destruction may even be far worse. Based on the 2004 Metro Manila Earthquake Impact Reduction Study or MEIERS, 170,000 buildings may collapse and 35,000 people may be killed if the metro will be hit by a 7.6 magnitude earthquake. But the Metro Manila Development Authority says more damage may occur now since more areas have been developed with high-rise buildings in the past years.
Marami ng bagong high-density areas, kaya dati wala yung The Fort, wala yung Eastwood Libis, nabanggit ko kanina. So tama yung ginagawa ngayon na pag-aaral kasama ang PBOLS na i-upgrade yung study sa present times.
With this, the MMDA sees the necessity to equip Metro Manila residents with proper knowledge on what to do during earthquakes. An earthquake simulator called the Shake, Rattle, and Learn House was launched to help train rescue personnel and educate the public, especially students, about earthquake and its effects. Students from Guadalupe Catholic School were the first to try the facility. A World Bank study says that school buildings here in the Philippines are susceptible to earthquake. That's why children inside classrooms must learn how to protect themselves during earthquake.
Natutunan namin na kung paano maging alert dito kapag nagkaroon ng earthquake.
Ang makakapal na libro sa ating ulo para hindi po tayo mabagsakan po ng mga malalaking bato.
Yung preparedness talaga, mula sa maliit hanggang sa malaking bagay na dapat gawin ng isang estudyante, kailangan alam na alam niya yon. Bagamat parati na kami nagpa-fire drill or nag-earthquake drill, no, iba pa rin yung nararamdaman nila yung talagang yung pinakamalakas na intensity pagka nag-earthquake.
Aside from individual and community preparedness, authorities say that public structures in the country need retrofitting to make them more earthquake resistant.
Siguro mangangailangan ng pagbabago sa ilang probisyon ng National Building Code or yung ating mga pamahalaan lokal pwedeng magpasa ng mga ordinansa na nire-require yung mga matatandang gusali na patibayin. So bahagi na rito yung pagtulong ng mga inhinyero natin kung paano madagdagan ng bakal, mapaliit yung ilang bintana nang sa ganun masuportahan ng bakal at mas maging safe yung ating mga gusali, dagdagan ng trusses o kung ano pa man.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology says the 2004 Myers report is now being updated.
At ang malaking kaibahan dito, maliban sa pag-improve ng Myers study, ang Myers study ay focused lang sa political boundary ng Metro Manila. Pero pag dumating ang lindol o baha o malakas na hangin, yung mga karatig na probinsya ay maapektuhan din.
FIVOC says the updated Myers report will be out by third quarter of this year. George Giles, Solar News.
State witness and former vice mayor of Sultan sa Barangay Sukarno Badal positively identifies more than a dozen of the accused in the plotting and execution of the Maguindanao massacre that left more than 50 people dead in 2009. Badal said he saw the accused in meetings held at the Century Park Hotel in Manila and at the Ampatuan Mansion in Sharif Aguac, Maguindanao. Badal also gave details on how Andal Dato Unsay Ampatuan Jr. fled to Barangay Limpungo after the massacre while waiting for a getaway vehicle. Meanwhile, Badal's cross-examination is scheduled tomorrow, February 21. Senator Lito Lapid files a resolution calling for the transfer of Mali Manila Zoo's 38-year-old elephant to a proper sanctuary. Lapid cited a report from the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, that Mali has been suffering physical, psychological, and emotional harm due to her unsuitable living conditions. The senator said that PETA would shoulder any costs that may be incurred for the elephant's transfer. Recent word wars between senators cast the upper chamber in a less than rosy light. Has the Senate really lost its old glory? On day 81 of Inform in 100, Camila Lemia tells us about the rise and fall of the Philippine Senate.
Jovito Salonga, Sotero Laurel II, Lorenzo Tañada, Claro M. Recto, Ambrosio Padilla, and Ninoy Aquino. Legislators who stood up for unpopular causes, such as the 1991 removal of American bases in Subic and Clark, 2 impeachment trials, and advocating controversial measures. They stood tall as the Senate titans of their time. Times have changed. Mass media brought the world closer to people. Television and cinema made movie stars and television personalities larger than life. Action film heroes and television personalities became pop culture icons of the masses. It's no wonder the jump from the cinema and television screen to the Senate was easy for many. the Revillas, Tito Soto, Lito Lapid, Jinggoy Estrada, and Loren Legarda. Stars like Joseph Estrada, Fernando Poe Jr., and Bong Revilla became presidential material.
They were there because they're famous, they were there, they had the money, they had the network, all the requirement of a traditional campaign. But they were not there because they are really qualified for the Senate.
Former Senator Rene Saguisag was elected to the upper chamber on the heels of the People Power Revolution. He never sought re-election. He says the Senate is not the institution it used to be.
Ginagawa nilang hobby, sideline. Yung mga ganyan, talagang pag patong-patong, lalong bababa from the celestial heights nung mag-umpisa to the abysmal depths to which it has descended. It's a continuing disgrace. It's a continuing insult to the institution. Can you imagine Claro Recto, Manuel Quezon nag-movie? I mean, ang sakit eh. Meaning, kung sagay-sa, kala mo, senador ka, kayang-kaya ng lahat yan. Kita mo si Bong, nagsesenador, nag-movie pa. Sisiw lang naman ang trabaho niyo riyan eh.
Then there are senators who were accused of crimes. Senator Panfilo Lacson was implicated in the Dacer Corbito double murder case in 2000. He fled the country in 2010 just before the Department of Justice recommended that he be charged in court and before the Manila Regional Trial Court ordered his arrest. In 2011, after over a year in hiding, Lacson returned to the country unscathed. Senate Majority Leader Vicente Soto III was accused of plagiarizing the work of a foreign blogger and former U.S. Senator Robert Kennedy in his series of speeches against the reproductive health bill. Soto denies he committed plagiarism, but for many netizens, the die is cast. An ethics complaint has been filed against Soto, but the Senate has yet to act on the complaint. Who could forget the many times that senators took to the floor in ugly word wars?
I have lost trust, faith, and confidence in Senator Enriquez's capability to lead the Senate along the path consistent with the reform agenda that I espouse. I therefore manifest that I am leading the majority and consequently joining the minority effective this day. Thank you.
I'm not answerable to anybody about
That's a
what
point
I
of
say
order,
in this
Mr. President.
The word wars got uglier. Early this year, the Senate was the subject of scrutiny after it was discovered that each senator received 2.2 million pesos in additional expense funds at the end of 2012. That is, except for 4 critics of Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile and Enrile himself.
Sabi niyo, let's call a spade a spade. Sige po, pagbibigyan ko po kayo. Total, kayo naman po may gusto niyan. Alam naman natin kung paano niyo po pinapatakbo ang Senado. Or more accurately, how you, an attorney or Ma'am Gigi, runs the Senate. Di ba ho, bawal sa caucus sa mga staff? Di ba ho, sa lounge na yan sa likod, bawal ang staff? But out of respect for you, pumayag kami na hindi lang nandun si Ma'am Gigi. Kung hindi, pwede pa siya magsalita pag may caucus. Pwede siya mag-discuss sa mga senador para na rin siyang isang senador. Tinanggap ko po yun. Tinanggap naming lahat. Bakit po? Courtesy and respect.
Senate Committee on Accounts Chairman Panfilo Lacson jumped into the fray when he accused a colleague of using government funds for personal expenses. Saguisag is disappointed with the brickbats over additional funds. He says the distribution of additional funds to senators is hardly a tradition in the chamber.